Welcome to the third episode of the News Dashboard page. Here we're discussing about how to create the news page itself. We'd already gone through creating the differences to know if the actual against the forecast is high or low, positive or negative. But now we want to determine if it is bullish or bearish. If we want to do that by going through each and every individual news here, we are going to waste every single day of our time. It means, for example, let's scroll down till today, and then we'll go back to, this is CPI. We'll then have to go back to investing.com, look for CPI, click on the news, wait for it to load, and then determine if it is bullish or bearish after the page loads, which is going to be a very long situation. So what you do is, as you can see right here, you're going to have to start looking and reading higher better than and lower better than long stories, right? BS. So the fastest way to get this done is actually to run a page that has that information already stored in it. Now, before we head into doing that, I want you to take note of what I'm seeing here. If you scroll down to the bottom, you will see we are having something telling us value, which means it's not able to find a proper actual minus forecast or a proper actual minus previous. So situations like this, we do not want to see them in our sheet. So what we want to do is we want to include a new formula into this place that will turn them empty, to turn them into empty spaces. Because why should it be empty? It's simple. Take a good look at the situation of the event here. These are actually speeches and meetings and releases that do not require any calculation. So therefore, they are supposed to be empty. So in order to do that, we'll just say if the very first one, right? The very first one, and we'll nest it with the is blank formula. So if this is blank, so is blank. And actual being blank means it doesn't even need to do any other thing after that point. If it is blank, you simply return an empty. So just put quotation mark, open quotation mark, close. And if it is not blank, well, then it will carry out the proper formula it is supposed to carry out. And that way, what do we see? So one thing you notice is it says false, meaning that there is something inside this space. And if you look at it, it's actually a space. And then what it means is what you do is instead of saying is blank, now you change the formula from if the colon, right? If that particular one is equal to this, so make it blank. And there you have it. Anything that is blank is literally empty. So there, we don't have to worry ourselves with things like this anymore. Now heading into the news page, which is really the most important meat of this particular video. To create a news page, I already put up a document in a folder. I'm going to tie the link below. But when you open that document, you're going to see it's going to look something like this, and there's a lot. Now, the reason why I did this is if I told you to go look for the sentiment that comes out of this each and every one news, if the actual is greater than forecast or less than forecast, you would spend a long time of your time. You spend a long time doing all of that. So what I did was I put it into a notepad workbook, and sent it out there. So get the link, open the document, and all you just do is you copy, you highlight everything, Control A, and you copy. You open a new page, and then you just paste on that new page. You can see every single thing is there. Let me put it side by side against my very own sheet. So you can see against my news page, you can see it is exactly the way my news page is. However, the only difference is this. So just so you don't end up making mistakes at some point, maybe in your copy and paste, the document was quite confused. What you do is you convert this into a table. This has to also be a table too, right? You convert this into a table. And after you convert this into a table, you want to remove all the indicator rank. And then you just simply say equal to event rank multiplied by type rank. That way you get a proper indicator rank. The reason why you're doing that is because maybe this might be wrong somewhat when you could do your own research and all that stuff. So what is this whole page basically supposed to be about? This whole page is every single news that exists here, right? Every single news that exists here. And then the event rank. So this is more like the impact of the news. You know, when you go to investing.com, you see the impact of the news at the side of every news. Let me head into the news. You see 2-star, 1-star, 3-star, 2-star. So 3 stars news are rated 3, 2 stars are rated 2, and 1 star is rated 1, which is basically saying high, medium, and low. Now, for each specific news, for example, CPI in this case, when the actual is greater than the forecast, it is a bullish news. And when the actual is greater than less than the forecast, it is a bearish news. Again, forecast or previous, depending on the news you're talking about. Now, the types of news, there are different types of news. There's the lagging, there's the leading, and there's the coincident. To explain that, I'll simply use a car analogy, a very, very simple, or let me use a door analogy. So your door at home, for your door at home to pull off the hinges, it ought to have maybe either started making loud sounds or was beginning to drag itself along the floor when you opened it, or maybe one of the hinge broke off. Before that happened, there was a slight, not so inconducive noise. It was inconducive, but not so inconducive. So what does that mean? It means the very first thing that started the whole situation was an inconducive noise. Maybe not something that was not, like the word inconducive is not conducive. And then later it led to the door, either the hinges broke, or, the door started sliding against the floor itself because it couldn't hold its own weight. And finally, the door fell off. So the very first part of it is the leading. So that told you this door is getting bad, but you could still use it for now. Then when it got bad to the point where you can still use it, but it is terrible, that is the coincident. And then when finally the door finally fell off, it is a lagging. Same thing with the news. Not all news are news that will change the entire course of reality. There are some news that even if they are bad, they are just, they are bad, but they are telling you, if you don't fix this now, it's going to get worse. That is the leading news. Then there are some other news that they're like, if you don't fix this now, or basically, this is because you did not fix the first part, you're getting this, but it is also still going to get worse. And then the lagging news is, this is like the final straw, you're going to have to do this, right? And just to make you understand it even better and even simpler, something like central bank decision, let's look for bank rates. Let's look for decisions rate. It's usually called decisions here. So you can see decisions are leading indicators. So if the central bank takes a decision against their currency, right? It takes a decision to either cut rate or increase, or it takes a decision to either cut rate or hike rates. It's going to impact immediately. It's going to impact immediately. It is a leading, but the impact is not going to be like immediately constantly felt, even though it is a high news, right? But it's not going to be immediately so felt by everybody at once. No, it's going to take time, because if they drop rates, businesses are going to come collect money and move out, and then the entire flow starts to go through. It leads to something, and then that thing that it led to is a lot of business collect money, right? And then after that collecting of money, there's the final part of, after collecting the money, the entire business is now going to have too many people, inflation is going to go up. So one led to the other, led to this. So that's what leading, lagging, and coincidental is all about. Now, under each news, right? Under each news, for example, under leading news, there are some leading types of news that are very, very key. And then there are some leading news that are not just, not that they are not key, but they are not like all that, should we call it, impactful to the economy, even though it has like a high impact or low impact. For example, take a good look at debt to GDP ratio. Debt to GDP ratio is a high impact news. However, under lagging news, it is not as important as something like the CPI or the PCE. It is not as important as that. You can see, or employment is not as important as all those situations, because if these situations are good, right, all this CPI and the rest are good, this is not really a problem, right? This is not even a problem. But if these are bad and that is good, it doesn't mean shit. Did you get it right now? Do you get it? So that's what it basically is all about, the type of news. Now, you cannot use this news just like this. And this is what we'll be explaining in the next video that is going to lead you straight down to the currency page. Let me show you exactly what it is. So we're going to talk about the next video. The next video is we're going to be talking about the leftover calculation here. You can see we only did difference on our sheet. We don't have sentiments and the types and the indicator rank and points. We don't have this in our current sheet. So the next video is going to be all about that, which is going to be the news and input page 2.2. Get to see you in that one. Peace.